Welcome! I see you have stumbled across my humble YouTube channel.
Now bow before your new master, for I am the greatest Guild Wars 2 content creator in the world!
As I'm sure many of you are aware, the newest Guild Wars 2 expansion, End of Dragons, released a short while ago. But what some of you may not know is that ArenaNet has already announced that the next expansion is currently in development. With that being said, I have taken it upon myself to design the next elite spec for the Elementalist class. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking.
What does this no-good Doliac brain nerf herder think he's doing? Is he even qualified to speak on such important topics that could negatively influence the future of my favorite MMO?
That is an excellent question, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because my answer to that is...
Evidence? I don't need no evidence. Isn't that right, Jesus?
It's pronounced Jesus, and I don't know you.
Well, there you have it. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. Alright, so here we are in the game, and for those of you who don't know, this is my Elementalist character. And one of the things I always thought would be cool to see with the Elementalist class is rather than having to switch between the different attunements, what if we could just pick, for our weapon skills, what if we could just pick the elemental ability that we prefer to use? And some of you may think, well, that's a dumb idea, or others think would be like, oh, that would be cool, especially if you were like trying to do a low intensity build or something. That might actually be really cool rather than having to switch between the attunements all the time. So that's actually going to be the starting point of this elite specialization. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to call this elite specialization the Avatar Elite Specialization. So, with that being said, let's say I was using a scepter. Say I was using a scepter, right? And for the scepter, let's say for ability number 1, let's say we wanted to use stone shards. All right, so stone shards, let's see here. So what I would want to be able to do is I would want to be able to come down here, right click the menu here, and then be able to pick, oh, stone shards, that's the one I want. And then I could go to 2, right click and say I wanted to pick Dragon's Tooth, and then 3 I could pick, what's this one, Water's Trident. So 3 would be Water Trident. And then let's say I wanted to use a Warhorn as my offhand weapon. Then what I could do is I could say, for some protection, let's right click Sand Squall. And lastly, Lightning Orb. Sure, why not? 5, Lightning Orb. So then what that leaves us with is we've got a moveset of what was it? Earth, fire, water, air, and earth. Like, I think that's really cool. I think that would be really dope. But that's not just the only thing. So for those of you who are seeing it when I'm editing it, you should see, rather than the attunements here, you should be seeing a weapon slot switch or something like that, something that switches to a different move set. So then you would have a second preferred move set so that you could switch between. So let's say back for the scepter, so say for the second move set for your rotation, maybe this time you pick Flame Strike. So we'll right click Flame Strike, and then say you want Dragon's Tooth again, because why not? We'll pick up Dragon's Tooth again. And then thirdly, we can click Blinding Flash for some CC. And then back to the Warhorn, let's say we wanted Cyclone, and for 5 we wanted, I don't know, Water Globe or something for some more healing. I don't know. So kind of what I'm imagining here is you have 2 different preferred move sets that you can swap between for your rotation rather than having to have specific attunement selection. Okay, so from here, after you've chosen both of your preferred move sets for your rotation, since we're not having to switch between 4 different attunements, I think it'd be really cool for this elite specialization to be able to swap weapons. You know, Elementalists typically are only able to have 1 weapon and they can't swap while in combat. So what I think, since we don't have the 4 attunements, well, why not have the ability to swap weapons? So say now you wanted to have a staff. Okay, and so for the staff, where's the staff at here? So for the staff. So say you're in the middle of combat and you want to switch to the staff, okay? And now you can do exactly what we did for the scepter and the warhorn and do it for the staff. And then you'd have two different movesets that you can pick for your staff rotation or something to that effect. And I don't know, then it gives you a lot of options. And in this way, you could either do low intensity build, or you still have a lot of options because it effectively still gives you 4 different swaps. Whereas base Ellie gives you typically 4 different attunement swaps. In this way, we have 2 different moveset swaps and 2 different weapon swaps. So it kind of balances out in a way. Alright, so now it's time to be honest, guys. Have any of the changes I've made been any real, like, significance to how Elementalist works? Yeah, I mean, it gives a little bit of a different twist, a different flair to how base Ellie works, but none of the changes I've made so far really make it unique enough or really make it stand out on its own as a worthwhile elite spec, because really it is just a different twist on how base Elementalist works. So now I am going to give you my 2 different ideas that I've come up with for how to make this elite specialization stand out, and neither of them are, in my opinion, particularly good ideas. They're the only ideas that I've been able to think up at the moment. So I'd really love to hear your guys' thoughts or anything about about how you guys think that this could stand out. But before that, let's just go ahead and throw out my first idea. So my first idea would be to basically turn Elementalist into Necromancer. So you know how Necromancer has his Death Shroud that he can activate, or even the Spectre Thief. The Spectre Thief has his own kind of version of that to a degree. So basically I'd want to do that same kind of concept and have the meter down here and everything, just like with Necromancer or Spectre, and have it be for the Elementalist. And we would probably call it something like the Avatar State.
Your eyes and tattoos glow, and you're able to summon unbelievable power.
So while inside the Avatar State, what we would probably have is we'd have some sort of your auto attack would probably be something that rotates between all the different elements. Like say it would shoot out some rocks, then it would shoot out some water, then it shoot out some fire, then it would shoot out an air lightning attack. And then similarly, our 2 through 5 moves would each be their own unique element. So you'd have like water, earth, fire, air for each of the different for moves 2 through 5. So, and then obviously, like I said, you'd have the meter. You can't stay in it. You can't stay in the Avatar State all the time. So you'd have to get out of it, build up the meter again, and then do it again. And then you would add that to the rotation. So I don't think that idea is necessarily great, considering we do already have Necromancer. We do already have the Spectre Thief. But I mean, it's definitely an option. I think it fits well with the theme of what I'm trying to go for here. So let me know what you guys think about that. Alright, now it's time to talk about the second idea for the Avatar Elite spec to help make it kind of stand out and look cool and stand on its own sort of thing. The second idea I have is actually a slightly different twist on how Weaver works. So you know how Weaver has these different combined moves for the different elemental combinations, right? So my idea is to basically take this idea, and they could use the same moves or different moves, but for your 2 different preferred movesets, so say you have the Scepter and a Warhorn or Dagger or whatever you have, what it would do, so say you had Dragon's Tooth as your 2 ability, and then your other preferred moveset, you had Lightning Strike. So what we would do is as soon as you activate your F5 or whatever button mapping you have for it, then for the next rotation of moves, what it would do is it would combine the 2 different elements from both of your preferred movesets. So then it would combine Dragon's Tooth, the fire, and the air, and then we'd get Plasma Beam for the purposes of this video. They'd probably want to come up with 2 new different combinations, but then we'd have Plasma Beam here, then we could have Stone Tide here, then we could have Glacial Drift, or whatever it is. It would just combine the 2 different movesets elements into one for a 1 rotation, and then it would go back to normal, and then you'd have a countdown before you could activate it again. So again, I think it's kind of a twist on how Weaver works. Some of you may like that, some of you may not like that, or think it's too convoluted, I don't know. But I think it would be a neat idea. I think it really puts an emphasis on being able to use multiple elements at once, kind of like, you know, the Avatar, like kind of what this whole thing is modeled after, is being able to use the elements all together rather than having to switch between the elements. So yeah, so that's my two ideas. For any of you who are wondering if I've created a whole like perk tree for this, I haven't. That I felt like that was going to be getting too nitty gritty. I didn't feel like I would have any good ideas for that, so I haven't done that. I haven't done anything for my elite skills or anything like that either. This is just the very base like concept behind what I was going for. So the last thing that we have to talk about, which I almost completely forgot to even include in this video, is what should the next weapon for this elite spec be? So far, the only weapons that haven't been used for the Elementalist class include the axe, longbow, shortbow, greatsword, mace, pistol, rifle, shield, and the torch. Personally, I'd be really interested in seeing either the longbow or the shortbow be the next Elementalist weapon. My main reason for this is I think the developers could make some really cool looking elemental arrow effects, such as a fire arrow or some water arrows. And if you're still not convinced, then watch this. Pretty cool, right? And if you're still not convinced, then let me know what weapon you'd prefer in the comment section below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If anybody wants to make their own videos and expand on any of my ideas, then go right ahead. Also, if anybody wants to design their own elite spec, like say the Ranger class, then I'd definitely be interested in checking that out, and I'll catch you guys next time.